Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see just how evil NASA is. First, we're going to look at Earth's orbital speed around the Sun. How fast does Earth move around the Sun? 66,600 miles per hour, speed of the globe's orbit. Next, curvature in 1 mile squared. According to Pythagorean theorem, 0.67 feet of drop. 8 inches converted to feet is 0.66667 feet. Curvature in 1 mile squared. Check. Earth's axial tilt, 23.4. But when you take 23.4 and subtract it from 90, a right angle, you get, believe it or not, 66.6. Again, axial tilt confirmed. Now let's take a look at the Antarctic and Arctic circles. Oh, did you look at that? 66.6 degrees north and 66.6 degrees south. Must just be a coincidence, huh?
The current commander of the International Space Station about to break a big record tonight. Here's ABC's Gio Benitez.
They call it the Peggy Factor, Mission Control's code word for the way superstar astronaut Peggy Whitson always gets the job done.
I love it up here.
Tonight, Commander Whitson making history with her record for any American. By the time she lands in September, her tally will be 666 days in space. Will be 666 days in space. Will be 666 days in space, with more spacewalks, currently 8, than any other female astronaut.
Now let's go over the diameter of the moon. This is a new one. I actually didn't know. It's 2,160 miles, but you take 6 times 6 times 6, there you go, 2160. The surface temperature of Uranus, oh, there you go, negative 216, which is 6 times 6 times 6, 216. Oh, you thought we were done. Let's do Pluto's orbital velocity. Scroll down here. Oh, there we go. 666. The speed of sound in knots. Speed of sound. Oh, well, look at that. 666 knots. The Earth's circumference in nautical miles. Oh, 21,600. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Again, 600 times 6 times 6. Another coincidence, 21,600. How far is Mars from the Sun? Oh, well, 1.666 astronomical units. Now let's look at Ceres' synodic period. And just as you expected, 666. Again, the devil's in the details, ladies and gentlemen. Saturn's orbital distance in kilometers. Let's take a look at the numbers. Oh, 1,426,666,000. clearly states in Psalm 2, the kings of the earth have taken up arms against the Lord and his anointed, saying, "Let us break their chains and cast them asunder." And God, who sits in heaven, laughs and says he will hold them in derision. The masses have been duped on such a grand scale, ladies and gentlemen. And if someone believes in a creation that does not exist, he also necessarily believes in a creator that does not exist. So it is essential to have an accurate understanding of God's creation. God did not make a moving spherical earth. Any God who creates a spherical moving earth is a different God from the God of the Bible. End of story. And Paul said in Timothy, "Keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoid profane and vain babblings, and oppositions of science falsely so called, which some professing have erred concerning the faith. Grace be with thee. Amen." 1 Timothy 6:20.
This is the NASA logo, America's space agency. This logo appears to hold a very interesting secret. 4 X's, otherwise known as the Greek letter chi, which is pronounced like a snake. It's the Greek H. It also contains a cryptic alpha. It also contains a halo, or the letter O. These letters form the Greek word Heo. The word Heo can also be found in the Masonic logo. The word Heo was preached by the infamous Satanist Aleister Crowley. Here we see the Satanist Aleister Crowley dressed in his full Masonic robes. The word Heo means "do as thou will." It is also pronounced as Heo and Io. It is also hidden in the American dollar. The satanic phrase of Heo, or "do as thou will," has been with us since ancient times. It can be found all over the world in buildings, sculptures, services, products, and is used to this very day by Satanists to identify one another. Now let's look at the meaning of the word NASA. In the Sanskrit language, NASA means infinite death, and the Kundalini mantra chants Satanama. In Greek, Satana means Satan. And as you can see here from the dictionary, in Spanish the word Satanas means devil, and the word Satanasa means female devil. That's Satan Nasa. Therefore, NASA means Satan. Now take another look at the NASA logo. Notice there's a reptilian forked tongue.
think. It's shorter than you think. No think.
Career and your writing and your acting, you've inspired so many people to enter the sciences. How do you balance science with science fiction? They're both the same.
Earth is a level, motionless plane with the sun, moon, and stars revolving over and around us just as you experience every day. The North Pole is the magnetic monopole center point, with Polaris, the North Pole star, situated directly above. Polaris is the only motionless star in the heavens, with all the other constellations revolving perfect circles over the Earth every night. The so-called planets, known to the ancients as wandering stars, were named such because they were observed then, as we can observe today, to wander the heavens, taking their own unique spirograph-like patterns, making both forward and retrograde motions over and around the Earth during their cycles. Meanwhile, the fixed stars were named such because they were observed then, as we can observe today, to stay fixed in their constellation patterns night after night, year after year, century after century, never changing their relative positions. If Earth was truly a tilting, wobbling, spinning space ball, as NASA and modern astronomy proclaim, rotating 1,000 miles per hour on its axis, revolving 67,000 miles per hour around the Sun, spiraling 500,000 miles per hour around the galaxy, and shooting off several million more miles per hour through the universe, the star patterns would never look the same 2 nights in a row, let alone be fixed in exactly the same constellations for thousands upon thousands of years. The reality is that the Earth and Polaris do not move, while everything else in the heavens revolves over Earth and around Polaris, east to west, like in a planetarium dome. Our Earth planetarium, however, is so vast that perspective won't allow any observer to see all the stars simultaneously from any one vantage point. We can see Polaris, Ursa Major and Minor, and other northern constellations from every point north of the equator simultaneously, but conversely cannot see the so-called South Pole star, Sigma Octantis, the Southern Cross, or other outer constellations simultaneously from every point south of the equator, because they all sweep over a great southern arc from their rise in the evening to their setting in the morning. Facing north, the stars turn counterclockwise from right to left. Facing south, they turn clockwise from left to right. Facing east, they rise in front and set behind, while facing west, they rise behind and set in front, so their apparent motion, angle, and inclination changes depending where you are on Earth and what direction you are facing. But their actual movement is always east to west. George Bernard Shaw wrote, "In the Middle Ages, people believed that the earth was flat, for which they had at least the evidence of their senses. We believe it to be round, not because as many as 1% of us could give the physical reasons for so quaint a belief, but because modern science has convinced us that nothing that is obvious is true, and that everything that is magical, improbable, extraordinary, gigantic, microscopic, heartless, or outrageous is scientific." Modern astronomy has absolutely convinced the world, as George Bernard Shaw stated, that nothing that is obvious is true. It is obvious that the earth is flat, yet they say it is curved. It is obvious that the world is motionless, yet they say that it moves. It is obvious that the heavens revolve around us, yet they say it is us that revolves. It is obvious that the stars are stars, yet they say the stars are suns. It is obvious that the sun is bigger than the stars, yet they say the stars are bigger than the sun. It is obvious that the sun and moon are the same size, yet they say the sun is 400 times larger. It is obvious that Earth is the only planet, yet they say there are over a septillion planets. It is obvious that up is up and down is down, yet they say it is not so. David Wardlaw Scott said, "With the modern astronomer, there is theoretically neither up nor down, though his experience belies his assertion every time he looks up to the heavens or down to the ground. Such aberration of intellect is really to be pitied." William Carpenter wrote, "Astronomer Denison Olmsted, in describing a diagram which is supposed to represent the earth as a globe, with a figure of a man sticking out at each side and one hanging head downwards, says, 'We should dwell on this point until it appears to us as truly up in the direction given to these figures as it does with regard to a figure which he has placed on the top.' Now, a system of philosophy which requires us to do something which is really the going out of our minds by dwelling on an absurdity until we think it is a fact, cannot be a system based on God's truth, which never requires anything of the kind. Since, then, the popular theoretical astronomy of the day requires this, it is evident that it is the wrong thing, and that this conclusion furnishes us with a proof that the earth is not a globe." S. G. Fowler wrote, "The physical properties of a physical globe would create insurmountable difficulties for the being called man, for man is a two-legged, smooth-footed, clawless-toed, and heavily built creature. Picture him on the outside of a sphere in our popular 34° south latitude. He has his boots on, and his head is depressed in space 34 degrees to his feet. Consider him magnetized through his boots to the center of the globe, where the big magnet is located. Picture him looking down into the gaseous void, with his eyes gouging out of their sockets, and his heart in his mouth, and his prayer that his hobnailed boots will not lose their magnetism. No wonder the world's got brain-addled. The reader has been hoaxed by the stupidest manifest hoax ever perpetrated. It should be obvious that up truly is up, and down truly is down, that flat truly is flat, and still truly is still. It should be obvious the universe was intelligently designed by an intelligent designer, purposefully created by a purposeful creator. Yet modern science and astronomy, through centuries of deception and manipulation, have obfuscated the obvious and left people blinded to the simple truth." E. Eschini wrote, "The one thing the fable of the revolving earth has done, it has shown the terrible power of a lie. A lie has the power to make a man a mental slave, so that he dares not back the evidence of his own senses, to deny the plain and obvious movement of the sun he sees before him. When he feels himself standing on an earth utterly devoid of motion, at the suggestion of someone else, he is prepared to accept that he is spinning furiously around. When he sees a bird flying and gaining over the ground, he is prepared to believe that the ground is really traveling a great number of times faster than the bird. Finally, in order to uphold the imagination of a madman, he is prepared to accuse his maker of forming him a sensiferous lie. The truth is that the Earth is not a planet. It is a plane. Other than the heights and depths of mountains and valleys, the Earth has no curvature or convexity, and is for all intents and purposes flat. Just as it appears, the sun, moon, and stars, fixed and wandering, all revolve around the flat Earth, which is the stationary, immovable center of the universe. The magnetic North Pole is the center of the Earth and the universe. Polaris, the North Pole star, remains always significantly situated atop the dome of the heavens, while the sun, moon, and stars revolve in circular cycles around us. The truth is that all standing water is always flat, the horizon is always flat, and all canals, tunnels, and railways are built without regard for the supposed curvature or convexity of the earth. The light from lighthouses can be seen at incredible distances, only possible on a flat surface. The truth is, pilots do not make constant nose declinations or compensation acceleration to account for the supposed curvature and rotation of the ball Earth. The truth is, sailors do not use spherical calculations, but plane trigonometry when navigating. David Wardlaw Scott wrote, "Rational people believe Salisbury Plain to be a plane, and Lake Windermere to be horizontal. But our astronomers say that this is all a mistake, that we must not trust our eyes when we see these or other such places as being horizontal, but that we should believe what they tell us, that Salisbury Plain, Lake Windermere, and also all other plains, lakes, and places upon the earth, as well as the vast Pacific and all other oceans, are only parts of a great globe, and therefore must have a curve. Besides which, mirabile dictu, that all rush together round the sun at the rate of 65,000 miles per hour. They give their law for this fancied curvature, based on the world being 25,000 miles in circumference at the equator, as being 8 inches for the first mile, 2 feet 8 inches for the second, 6 feet for the third, and so on. The rule being to square the number of miles between the observer and the object, then multiply that square by 8 inches, and divide by 12 to bring it into feet, the quotient being the supposed curvature. Unfortunately, however, for astronomers, this theory does not agree with fact, for this rule of curvature has been found to be utterly fallacious both on land and water. All houses have to be built on level ground, but no allowance whatever is made for the curvature of the earth, and all compasses point north and south at the same time, even at the equator, which incontestably proves that the sea is horizontal, and therefore that the world is not globular, for if it were, one end of the magnet would then dip towards the North Pole, and the other point to the heavens. The truth is that Antarctica is a giant ice wall holding in the oceans, and the South Pole does not exist. Various anomalies and differences between the Arctic and Antarctic prove the Earth is not a ball. The Arctic midnight sun proves the universe is geocentric. The truth is the sun and moon are equal divine balanced opposites made for signs and seasons to light the earth and divide day from night. The moon is not merely a reflector of the sun's light, but emanates a demonstrably unique light of its own. It is completely self-luminescent and semi-transparent. The truth is that man has not and cannot ever walk on the moon or Mars, because the heavenly bodies are simply luminaries and not terrestrial terra firma like the earth. The moon and Mars landings were and are all hoaxes staged and filmed by Freemasons on Earth. Orbiting satellites and space stations do not exist. All video and photographs you have ever seen from NASA, Hubble, and other official sources are all CGI, computer-generated images. Gravity does not exist, and all floating astronauts are simply using wires or filming aboard zero-G planes. Relativity does not exist, and that is why Einstein is always sticking his tongue out at you. The truth is, the universe was intelligently designed by an intelligent designer, purposefully created by a purposeful creator, not the haphazard result of some inexplicable cosmic accident. The truth is that life, consciousness, the incredible, beautiful diversity and complexity of nature is divinely created, not coldly, blindly evolved out of nothing.
Fear before him all the earth. The world also shall be stable, that it be not moved. The Lord reigneth, he is clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed with strength, wherewith he hath girded himself. The world also is established, that it cannot be moved. Say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. Who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever. Sayest, how doth God know? Can he judge through the dark cloud? Thick clouds are a covering to him, that he seeth not, and he walketh in the circuit of heaven. He hath compassed the waters with bounds, until the day and night come to an end. The pillars of heaven tremble, and are astonished at his reproof. It is turned as clay to the seal, and they stand as a garment. Thus saith the Lord, the heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. Where is the house that ye build unto me, and where is the place of my rest? For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them. Hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong and as a molten looking glass? For this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of God the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water. Keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called, which some professing have erred concerning the faith. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass upon the face of the depth, when he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he gave to the sea his decree that the water should not pass his commandment, when he appointed the foundations of the earth, then I was by him, as one brought up with him, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him, rejoicing in the habitable part of his earth, and my delights were with the sons of men. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it. And there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? In the 600th year of Noah's life, the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained, and the waters returned from off the earth continually. And after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hasted not to go down about a whole day.